Okay, Maddie, we're into episode number 11. We had a great morning so far with Byron Rose, but we've got another guest on the Mentor. Good morning. Is this Giorgio?
It is. Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you loud and clear. Hey, Giorgio, thanks for joining us here on episode 11 of The Mentors. And, mate, Giorgio, tell us where you're from and how long you've been in real estate for.
Oh, it's my pleasure. So I'm with Sydney Sotheby's International Realty.
Yep.
And I've been with the company now for over 4.5 years.
Okay.
And I'm 37 and I got into real estate when I was 18.
Okay, you don't have to give us how old you are because it's not a dating show, but anyway.
Well, I am single as well, so there you go.
Okay, for any single ladies out there, ring Giorgio Koula. No, we won't say that. So, Giorgio, tell us a little bit about your, I suppose, what do you want to ask Matt and I as on the Mentor show today? Yeah,
so we're in a unique position, Matt and Claudio, where working for Sydney Sotheby's, we work on a different platform where we get to sell all over Sydney.
Yep.
Which is fantastic in the sense where you've got cross-selling, selling in various suburbs. But the question I wanted to put forward is that going to be detrimental to my career long term?
So what do you mean by that? Just give me a little bit more scope on your question there. Like when you mean
in
detrimental.
Not working a core marketplace or a core region because we go from suburb to suburb on a weekly basis.
Okay, so let me ask you this question. Is everyone in your agency got core suburbs or everyone just sort of sells a little bit everywhere?
Most agents have the flexibility to sell everywhere because that's the beauty of the brand, but the established agents have been in one particular region over a 20-year period.
Gotcha. Okay, that's a really good question. Maddie, let me ask you this, because you do have agents in the marketplace today that are basically either having a scattergun approach and sort of, you know, trying to sell in every suburb and have 20,000 homes that they're trying to look after, versus you do see some agents that will look at what we call farm area, patch, BDA, business development area. What would your advice be to someone like Giorgio saying, what approach should I take?
Sure. How are you, Giorgio? All right?
G'day, Matthew. I'm well, thank you.
Good, mate. Hey, look, if you let's go high level. Let's look at all the most successful agents in Sydney and Australia. Yeah. You would look right across Australia. You'd say 95% of them would have a core area they're known. Like, you know, for XYZ Real Estate, you'd say they're very successful in Coogee, or XYZ Real Estate, you know, agent, they're very successful in, you know, a suburb in Melbourne. So you'd tie them to a core area. My view is that, look, real estate is it's a relationship business, not a postcode one. So you're going to have clients all over, you know, the marketplace that want to use you. My view is if you really want to build up a business long term, I would focus on probably 2 to 3 suburbs. Because you only have to look at, as I said before, the really successful agents you can tie them to you mentioned Claudio Encina, you say, all right, he's Mona Vale. Matt Lahood, he's Randwick, you know. Giorgio, he's, you know, Double Bay, whatever market you're in. But I would suggest that strongly get a core market of 3 to 4 suburbs. Yep. And then out of those 3 to 4 suburbs, become an area expert. Yep. Because then you can narrow the focus. The other thing is you will then get referrals from clients that are outside those areas. When you get those referrals, you've obviously got other people in Sotheby's you can reach out to that are in those other core suburbs. I would bring them in because then you're doing the right thing by the client, because your agent that works the patch has probably got more buyers and more intimate knowledge of the market. Because every time you go to a new market, you've got to find all the comparables. You won't have a specific buyer database. You've then got to work out, you know, all the latest sales, the per square metre rates, the local council rules. You don't really have your sort of, you know, hand around every single thing. So what you'd do is you'd probably conjunct with one of your other Sotheby's agents in those suburbs. That would be the strategy. Yeah,
you know what? You've hit the nail on the head there, Matty. I've known Matty for a long time. We've spoken about it in episode 1. But here's the thing. I remember you, Matty, you were like, Randwick, Coogee, that was your suburbs.
Yep.
When someone thought of real estate in those areas, they would, you know, you'd be on the top of the list at some point.
So Randwick, Coogee, Clavelli, Maroubra were always my four suburbs. But did I sell properties in Rose Bay, Vaucluse, you know, La Perouse, Bondi Beach, 100%.
Yeah.
But I usually, Giorgio, bought in the best agent in that area, and I sold it to the vendors. Love to see, they want to use you, but they love to see you saying, you know what, I'm the relationship person. But to add strength to this, I'm going to bring Claudio Encina in with me because he specialises and he's probably got more buyers for you. I'm going to halve my fee and give half to Claudio, but I'm going to ensure that we get the best result for you. That's actually doing the best thing for the vendor, in my view.
100%. And it's funny what Matt is saying there, Giorgio. Number one, I would say, look at the pattern. Like, it's, to me, the guys who are writing seven figures are an expert. And what Matt was saying is become an expert in your area. The people in your area, an expert is three things. Number one, I believe you're the resource for those people in your core market. Number one, you do all the research for them, right? So you become the resource, you become the researcher. But also the third thing is you get the results.
Yes.
So I think of it like this, Giorgio. Think about how can I build my business to be recession-proof. I'm dealing with agents today, Giorgio, where the market, has either tightened up a little bit, less buyers on the market. And people today, more so than ever, and I think in the next 6 to 12 months, Matty, people like the potential prospective clients will look for the experts in that marketplace.
Totally.
Meaning the agents who are getting the results, the agents who has got experience, the agent who's got track record, but also is a likeable type of person as well, right?
Yep.
So I would say to you, Giorgio, is really hone in to look at a farm area or a BDA that you could build, like Matty said, a couple of suburbs where you could build your name and profile in that area, yeah?
Yeah, see, Giorgio, the only other problem you have too is you never really build relationships with buyers if you keep moving markets because, you might get 20 or 30 buyers through an open, say you might get 80 during a campaign or 60 during a campaign. If you're moving from, say, I'm assuming, where do you sell a bit around now? Are you around the Double Bay area or?
No, so through the inner city, inner west and down south.
Okay, so, all right, so if you've got buyers, just to say inner city, say in Pyrmont, okay, just say you sold the property in Pyrmont, you've got 60 buyers and your next listing is in Leichhardt. Well, you can't do anything with those buyers. Do you know what I mean? And until you've got another listing in Pyrmont.
Correct,
So if you had another listing in Pyrmont, you'd turn over stock quicker because you've got the buyers. You could do a lot more off-market stuff. And you could really, then the vendors will want to deal with you because you've got the following. If you go to Leichhardt, you've then got to market the property, find buyers. You've got to understand the local, buyer marketplace. You've got to understand the local council rules, what development. And it's too taxing to have, 10 different marketplaces where you're trying to remember everything about, what's the height limit, what's the zoning, everything across 10 suburbs versus having 3 and you're an absolute expert in those 3.
Correct. If there was a place, currently, because it sounds like your business is a little bit all over the place, right, Giorgio, correct, at the moment?
Correct.
If there was an area you'd want to focus on, what would that be? What would be an area you'd want to focus in?
I think personally for me, the inner west would be the ideal market.
And why would you say the inner west? Why the inner west?
The demographic of buyers, the sales that I've had.
What's your connection? What's your connection with the inner west? What's your connection there?
What I found with the properties that I've had in the inner west, there's a lot of sellers, so people coming from a 1 or a 2-bedroom apartment, then crossing over into a semi or a freestanding home.
Okay, and you're very good at that. Doing that transition, you see yourself as an expert working with that type of clientele?
I think for me, and something Maddie touched on earlier, was about the relationship. I'm very good at holding the relationship, nurturing the client, helping them with a new purchase if it's not through our own company, and then, guiding them through that process and getting them ready to get onto the market at a later stage.
Yeah, beautiful. So I just want to bring our third mentor on here, our good old friend.
Hey guys.
Clinton. Hey.
The guy hiding in the corner.
The guy hiding in the corner. The guy with the best looking hat in Sydney. So Clinton, tell me, for someone like Giorgio, if he was wanting to build his name and his profile and become an expert in an area, and let's just talk it on the digital side because that's what you're really cool at. What would you suggest for Giorgio?
Giorgio, at the moment, are you doing any social media? Are you doing Facebook? Are you doing Instagram? Are you doing LinkedIn?
Hello?
So you're just breaking up there. Yep, I'm back. So you're just breaking up there.
All good, Giorgio. So do you do any social media marketing or branding at the moment at all?
Not at the moment, no.
Okay, cool. So there's a lot of different levels you can go with this, but the beauty of social media right now is it's where attention sits. And if you want to build up a business and you're going to start local and expand from there, tactically there's two different things you could be doing right now. One would be documenting and posting onto Instagram. And when you're in Instagram, a lot of people assume that you go all over the world, you go wherever, like whoever's looking at that advertising content or that content on your page is. But a really cool advertising feature, and something that I exploited when I was starting my business to try and grow in a specific area, was that you can actually go in and target a postcode.
Yeah.
Wow, that's good.
Okay.
Very specifically. So you could be working with a seller of their property, documenting some of the photos, talking about the story, and then you could literally go and boost that and try and get everybody in a specific postcode.
Right. So it's just specific targeted marketing.
Yep.
So if Giorgio had a property in Piermont, for example, and he documented a little bit about that property around the sale, and then just specifically targeted, boosted it with just hitting people in that postcode, a lot of people who are either on Facebook or Instagram, for example, would get that through their feed. Is that right?
Precisely. And you could do the same thing on Facebook as well. Obviously, you can go postcode or you can go radius, but it's quite targeted. And at the same time, too, when you're putting that content out there, there's going to be people connected to the individual that you're documenting and creating content for. You've got this Mr. Smith on a particular street, you put out that content, somebody else sees it because potentially they share that piece of content and they're connected, and you start to build up that community or that tribe of people in a local area. Now, you're always going to get people outside the area, or you can actually advertise to people travelling through the area, which is also another really cool feature with Facebook. But the relevance of it is that you're essentially amplifying what you currently do in a local market right now.
Wow.
And the good thing, Clinton, around that, what's something like that cost to do?
Mate, you could start with $5 if you really wanted to.
So, Giorgio,
Mate, that
it's
is
not
cheap. That is the cheapest bit of advertising you can find. $5.
Well, why I sort of knew the answer to that. I didn't think it was that cheap though. I was going down the path of this. This doesn't cost like $50,000 to sort of kick off and start doing.
No.
If you got real and maybe had an offline chat to Clinton, he could work with you on that, which I think would be critical. And the other thing, Giorgio, is you build a video around yourself and the areas that you're specialising in. And when you start to make sales in those areas, you get testimonials off your clients saying that you're the guy that looks after that area and you're an expert in the area. So you're getting third-party endorsement and social proof. Then all of a sudden, within 90 days of you kicking off into that market, you're going to get a group of people starting to follow you.
Yeah. So, Giorgio, here's what my recommendation would be after today's phone call. Number one is, how do you build your business to be recession-proof? Okay. Number two, how can people see you as the expert in an area? Number three, follow what the seven-figure agents are doing today. They've become experts. They hold market share in a particular market. How can you build your name, your profile in that? Number four is, I'm definitely hearing you've got to build relationships from Matty, and that's what he's saying.
Yep.
And the fifth one I'm going to say to you is, mate, if you're not on social media today and you want to remain relevant, it's simple. If you're not communicating, you're not being heard, Giorgio. You know what I mean? And it's a strategy, and it's hard work. Let me tell you, when I wanted to get into social media, it was like, oh my God, what am I going to post this week? And for me, it's like you've got to dedicate the time like anything. Right?
Yep.
It's a form of prospecting. I get people that ring me and going, I've been watching you on Facebook, or I saw a video of you on YouTube and whatever else. So you've got to be constantly being heard. The more people see your name out there, the more you're going to start becoming that brand and profile that you want to become. So they're probably the 5 things. Anything else you would recommend for Giorgio there, Matty?
I would just add, Giorgio, as soon as you decide what marketplace you want to be in, make it sort of 3 suburbs. I wouldn't go 10 in the west.
Yep.
You will end up in more than 3, but if you stay around 3, because the traditional buyer looks at 5 suburbs in an area before they buy.
Wow.
Right?
There you go.
So that's the statistic around it. So if you had 3 core suburbs, you're going to filter probably out to 5 just because the way it is. However, what I would then do in that area is build a network of people. I would go and find a bank manager, an accountant, a lawyer, a strata manager, a gardener, a valuer, and I would meet with them regularly and start building a proper network group of people in that area. Then in 3 years, you'll become the expert in the area.
Totally. Remember, patience is what it's going to take. And
That's fantastic.
Mr. Clinton, anything else you'd like to add on top of what we've already said?
I would be documenting this stuff too. Like I remember when we started out and we were doing this sort of stuff. If you bring a local mortgage broker or a local business owner or a person in an area that's well known or lived there for a long time, and you make a piece of content that's about them, you're going to get so much more exposure in that area.
That's exactly right, because they've already got the people that know, like, and trust them in the area.
Precisely.
You know?
Wow, that's so true.
Yeah.
That's
the other
so
thing you've got to do, Giorgio, I think, is you've got to use more video. So you need to get a personal profile done on yourself.
Yeah.
So because people buy you, right?
People buy people.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And they want to feel and hear you and see you, etc. So that makes a hell of a lot of sense, Matty. Well, listen, hey, Giorgio, has that answered your question today on the mentors?
Oh, that's brilliant, gentlemen. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I think this can help a lot of other people out there too, because there are a lot of agents like you, Giorgio, who are thinking, do I have a farm area? Do I just, keep doing that spray and pray mentality and sort of, have a business that hopefully something comes out of it, rather than having a strategy, working it, creating a process around it, do the reps every day, and then guess what? Before you know it, you're going to have an amazing rock star business in 3 years' time, Giorgio. That's what it is. But you've got to be there prepared for 3 years to do it. Don't go and choose an area and then 6 months you're going, it's not working. I've only had 2 likes on my Facebook, and then you give up, because that's 95% of the agents out there, Giorgio. They think like that, and they think, it's not working, I'm going to go back to what I know. And that's playing it safe. Going back to your usual, things that you normally do, those bad habits. Try and create some really cool, rich habits around your business right now. And it's a great opportunity. We're going into a new year. And the other thing is, financial year that is, the other great thing, Giorgio, is, you know what? Now is the time to execute something while the market is where you have more time to start working on your business. Okay? Right now.
Brilliant.
Okay?
Brilliant.
Giorgio.
Thank you so much.
Much
appreciated, gentlemen.
All the best with it, mate.
No problem. Nice to talk to you, Giorgio.
Absolutely. Our pleasure,
Likewise.
Giorgio. Thanks for joining us here at The Mentors, and we'll catch you next time. Thank you.
Have a great day. Bye for now.
You too, buddy.
Got something great from this episode? It would mean the world to us if you passed it on. Tune in each week as we mentor a new agent. Have a question? Want to be on the show? Get in touch with Claudio Encina, Matt Lahood, or visit our Facebook page. The Mentors is brought to you by Sprinkler.media.